The reason why I wanted to do this particular class is because, well, there's just a lot of pain in the world right now. I feel it in myself. I've been going through pain in various areas of my life. The pain of change, the pain of letting go of an old identity, the pain of letting go of people. And of course, I've been seeing people in pain in my work. I do coaching, I do healing work with people, so that's also something that I see a lot, and I see that in this time of shifting that we're in right now and accelerating and raising our vibration, a lot of pain is being experienced in the physical and emotional body. And that's just an indication that we are moving through something. And so the reason why I wanted to do this class is to offer some guidance on how to move through pain and how to process pain in a way that can be quite easeful, actually. It doesn't have to be so full of suffering. So we can feel pain in our body, we can feel emotional pain, but we don't have to suffer so much, and we don't have to exacerbate the pain using our mind and the way that we are judging the pain or the way we're even resisting the pain. So before I get started, let's see if what card will just guide this class today. The card is courage. Be courageous and stand up for your beliefs. So it takes a lot of courage to actually be willing to feel our pain. And I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, what is emotional pain? So emotional pain is just an energy frequency moving through the body. It's a low frequency, which means it's experienced in our body as a sort of a jolting. Our natural alignment is, let's just say, vibrating like this, and when you bring in a low frequency thought and it enters our physical and emotional space, it creates a dissonance, it creates a rift, and we experience that as physical pain or emotional pain. But it's just a vibration, it's just a frequency pattern, and the frequency pattern, this emotional frequency pattern, is the result of the energy of our thought. So it's the result of us taking a thought, which is also energy, bringing it into our mind, and our emotional body is responding to that. So when we are holding a perspective, a thought or a belief that is in alignment with ourselves, our body responds with a sense of, wow, it could respond in so many different ways when this thought is in alignment. It could be joy. It could be a sense of contentment and peace. It could be a feeling of warmth and of love. But when we're holding a thought, a perspective that is out of alignment with us, our physical and emotional body is responding with this contraction. It's responding with this feeling of something is not at ease. So dis-ease, disease is the experience of our physical body not being in alignment with the perceptions, the thought forms that we are bringing in from the infinite number of thoughts we could possibly think. So when we just understand that emotional pain is just energy, all emotions are just energy moving through our body, we can see that it's not so scary. So I want to talk a little bit about why so many of us do not allow ourselves to actually feel pain. So the typical responses that we've been taught when we're experiencing pain are to ignore it, to run away from it, to judge and resist it, or to try to numb it in some way. And I want to address this first because before we can get to the root, the thought that is causing that pain, first we have to address all these sort of superficial thoughts that come up when we're experiencing pain. And those are thoughts that it's not okay or it's not safe to experience this pain. So I thought of two basic reasons why we sort of have these defensive thoughts when we're starting to experience pain. So the first reason is, I think it's that survival reptilian part of our brain that still is associating pain with danger. Like pain back in maybe thousands of years ago, pain, that experience of pain or discomfort or all these lower emotions were an indication, okay, something is not right here. And there were many threats of our physical survival. So there's part of us that is still experiencing that sort of old reptilian survival based part of us. And depending on how much trauma that we still have inside of us that hasn't been processed yet, we may be more identified with that sort of survival, fight or flight. This is a life or death situation. So a lot of times when we're experiencing emotional pain, many of us may actually have this freezing mechanism that's coming in, and it's this feeling of actually something is wrong. Something is wrong to be experiencing this pain right now, and so we'll either freeze or we'll try to run away or hide from it. So when this happens, when we're living, in mainstream society, and oh, hi Sandra, hi Jessica. I don't know if you're still here, but oh, cool. It's okay. I can see who joins. That's really cool. And anytime, let me know if you have questions about anything I'm saying. I'll try to answer them. So what I was saying is that those of us living in a relatively comfortable life where our basic needs are met, when we're experiencing this sort of more survival, fear-based response to pain, it can be a very disorienting experience because we know that realistically, nothing wrong is happening. I'm not in physical danger, but the body, the physical body and the emotional body is responding as if there is. And so this can lead to a mental state of just confusion. It can lead to this mental state of overwhelm because we're experiencing such intensity in our body, and yet rationally we know there's actually nothing wrong here. And so when we experience this emotional pain, instead of giving ourselves the time and space to actually process it, we're actually still dealing with this disorientation of why is our physical and emotional body feeling so overwhelmed right now. So one thing to recognize is that that may be the mechanism that's kicking in when you experience fear. And just knowing that, you can use certain tools to sort of help you. One would just be breathing and just really, really recognizing that you're not in danger, that you're safe here, that everything is actually okay, and all that's happening right now is an emotion is moving through the body. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's anger, maybe it's sadness, and it's painful, but it's just energy moving, and your life is not at risk, and it's actually okay to feel this and to sit with this pain. Another reason why so many of us have this pattern of numbing our pain or disassociating or suppressing the pain is because of childhood and ancestral trauma. So what I mean here is that there have been times, either in this life when we were children or an experience of our ancestors, when experiencing emotional pain was literally not safe. So some of us have had the experience of when we have felt negative emotion, when we have felt painful emotion as a child, it was met with anger, with disapproval, with rejection, and sometimes even with abuse, so physical or sexual abuse. So we have learned, many of us, to actually desensitize to our pain so that we would not experience that rejection or disapproval or even physical harm from our caretakers. So when we've had those traumatic experiences, it takes both time to become aware of what's actually happening, and it takes a process of healing. It takes a process of healing those traumatic experiences so that the emotional body starts to recognize that now, as an adult, you're not in danger anymore. Now it's actually okay. You can experience this sadness. You can experience this rage, and you're not going to be hurt by your caretakers. You're not going to be cast out of the family. That it's actually okay. So the first step to really processing and healing our pain is to create this atmosphere of safety for ourselves. Create this atmosphere of acceptance and also of unconditional love. So how we do this is through remembering that I am safe and this is only pain. It's maybe I don't know if this is a radical concept or not. It was for me. You know, I was a person who really just didn't like pain or didn't like to feel, you know, not okay. And there was a lot of self-judgment around when I was unhappy. So that meant that I placed great value on being a happy person. One of the reasons is because I was always praised for being a happy girl. And so I developed this conditioning that said, I have to be happy. If I'm not happy, then love is going to be withdrawn. Then I'm not going to be loved. So it was this process of awakening to recognize that, wait, I'm a human being. I'm a human being. I have a whole range of emotions. And actually, our emotions are here to guide us. They're not here to hurt us. So again, the first step for processing pain is telling yourself that it's safe and letting yourself know that it's okay to feel this emotion. Nothing has gone wrong here just because you're feeling bad or you're feeling sad. It's totally okay. Another statement that I like to use when I'm feeling just not comfortable, maybe I'm feeling really nervous, or maybe I'm feeling jealousy, is even though I'm feeling this way right now, so let's say it's nervous. So even though I'm feeling nervous right now, I completely accept and love myself. Even though I'm feeling jealous of my good friend right now, I completely accept myself. So what this does is it cuts through the judgment that wants to tell us that you're a bad person if you're jealous. You're not cool if you're feeling nervous. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to rewire our belief system to let ourselves know that it's actually okay. It's okay to feel negative emotions. So again, the breathing helps. Telling ourselves, reminding ourselves of these statements helps. And then a final thing to bring in the love would be to ask yourself, what do I actually need right now to help me ease this feeling? So once you've accepted it, once you've let yourself know that it's okay to feel this way, you can move into the heart and you can just ask yourself, what is it that I need? What is it that would offer me some relief right now? Another question that I love is, what would be the most loving thing to do for myself right now? And you practice listening to the answer, and you practice giving this to yourself. And this is an experience that many of us did not have when we were experiencing pain as a child. We didn't have those resources, whether through our parents or from our friends or from teachers, where they were actually tuned in to what we were feeling. So we developed all these coping mechanisms because we thought that, okay, if I'm feeling pain, I'm not going to get my needs met. So I better get rid of this pain. I better not feel this pain. I better pretend that everything is okay. And this is just a habit that has developed over time. And this is what we are learning to rewire right now. So once you can establish this basic sense of safety and acceptance of yourself experiencing pain, then you can move on to the next step. The next step is really getting present with yourself and with the emotion, the emotional pain that you're experiencing. So one exercise that I really love to do when I want to become more close to my pain, because one of the ways that I know to process pain and to let go of it is first to get close to it, to let myself know At first, like I said before, that it's okay, and then to just look at it. And when you start looking at it, you realize that it's just an experience. It's just an experience that's moving through us. So one exercise that I use involves the physical body. So when I'm not feeling good, and also I do this with my clients, when I'm not feeling good, I will do a scan of my body, and I will look for the place in my body that is feeling discomfort. So I'm just going to sit, I'm going to relax, I'm going to breathe, and then I'm just going to gently scan my body, and I'm going to look for a place of discomfort. So I have been feeling it a lot in my lower back. So once you identify that place of pain, you just bring your awareness to that part of your body and you just breathe with it. Again, this is sending a signal to yourself that it's okay. I can feel this. It's not going to hurt me. It's just a feeling. And you let yourself experience the sensation, starting with the physical sensation in your body. And then you start to ask yourself questions to help you, again, get closer to this pain. You can ask, if this pain, if this feeling had a color, what color would it be? And you just see what's the first color that pops into your mind. Then you can ask yourself, is this feeling moving quickly or slowly? And you feel. So I feel like mine is moving like a little bit fast, a little bit fast. And again, you're just breathing and you're staying present. So again, this is step 2. This is getting present with your pain. Then you can see if there's an image that comes up when you look at this physical pain. And then you can give it a voice. You can ask, if this pain could speak, what would it say? And in this, the message that the pain gives you, you will find the emotion. You will also find the belief. But you just listen and you hear what it says. Maybe it says, I'm scared. Maybe it says, no one cares about me. I'm all alone. Maybe this physical sensation says, I need to run. I need to get out of here, you know? So you're just starting to understand what this pain is. You're starting to get close, and you're starting to recognize also that this pain is not trying to hurt you. It's actually trying to signal something to you. It's actually trying to tell you something. So this is when we get present with our pain, this is when the pain can become an ally. We can recognize that it's here to assist us as long as we're listening. When we don't listen or when we resist, the pain gets louder and louder and louder. Again, not to hurt us, but because it just wants our attention so that we can process it and we can let the pain go. So step 2 is getting present with the pain. Another part of step 2 of getting present with the pain is also to have one part of yourself that is not completely meshed with the pain. It's not totally identified with the pain and overwhelmed by it. It actually is a quieter part of yourself that is just listening and observing. It's that part of yourself that knows what color it is, that knows what speed it's moving, that knows what it's saying. So it's a part of yourself that is not identified. When our mind becomes completely identified with the pain, that's when we feel like we're in a whirlwind and we can't get out. It's because we haven't accessed the greater part of ourselves that is not that pain at all. It's just watching it. It's just observing it. So part of step 2 of this presence is to make sure that you remember that you are much, much more than this pain. You are much, much more than these emotions moving through your body. And that can take a little bit of practice. Meditation is the best practice I know for that. Okay. When you are able to become present with your pain, and I just want to mention that these steps have no time limit, and you don't really know how long each step is going to take. So it's really important not to rush through. So for example, step one of establishing the sense of safety and the sense of accepting that it's okay that I'm experiencing this right now, it can take some time. It really helps if you have support of loving friends or family that accept you even when you're going through something. But if not, then this is something that we need to learn to cultivate in ourselves. And so again, it's a process. Maybe it will take some days to move past the stage of just resisting the pain. Maybe it will take weeks to move past this stage of judging yourself for feeling so low again, you know? So it's important not to rush yourself through any of this, because in order to get present with your pain, you have to establish that basic sense of safety, and that can take some time. And the same thing with step two, presence, actually feeling your pain. So if you're someone who has been very used to numbing your pain, maybe through food, maybe through different addictions, maybe through drugs, it might take some time to resensitize yourself to the experience. It may take some time to be okay with actually feeling this. So again, give yourself time. This is not something you can just say, okay, I'm going to take 30 minutes and process my pain. It doesn't work like that. Of course, the more you do it, the quicker it gets. But be really patient with yourself. So after you have moved through the stage where you're able to actually feel and be present with the pain that's moving in your body, then you can start to inquire. You can start to explore what is the source of this emotional pain. So like I said before, this emotion is a response to a thought. It's a response to a belief. This is something that many people don't understand or don't know. We're so used to blaming the outside world for our emotional pain. This is what is called emotional childhood. It's when we still think that all of our emotions, happy to sad, are caused by other people, are caused by the outside, are caused by whether or not we get our toy or not. So most of us in childhood have developed this orientation towards the outside, towards looking to the outside for either our pleasure, our sense of self, our sense of love, our sense of we're good people, or for our sense of I've been bad, for our sense of I'm not good enough, for our sense of someone hurt me. You know, we're so used to pointing the finger at other people. But when we grow up and we're able to cultivate this awareness, this is called emotional adulthood. This is when we begin to take full 100% responsibility for our emotional experiences. We start to recognize that our emotions are not caused by the outside. Our emotions are caused by a thought that we are holding in our mind that our emotional body is responding to. Again, this is a good thing. It's a guidance. Our emotions are always going to tell us if the perspective we're holding right now is in service of us. If this perspective that we're holding is actually in alignment with our truth, with our soul. And we can know right away if the perspective is out of alignment, because we're going to feel something. We're going to feel this contraction. We're going to feel this discomfort that something is off. So once you move through the first two stages, you get to the stage, step 3, which is awareness. You start to become aware of the true source, and you start to be able to have enough calm to really explore what's going on in your mind. So what am I thinking or believing in this moment that is causing my body to respond with this emotional pain, with this emotional discomfort? And it's also physical as well. So what is the perspective of lack that I'm holding that my whole entire being is disagreeing with in this moment? And that's the emotional response. So hopefully this won't be backwards. This is a little tool that I created to help us understand the nature of our thoughts. And our thoughts can sort of, one way to look at look at them is to divide them into either thoughts of abundance or thoughts of lack. So when you are holding a perspective that's of lack, you are thinking in terms of not enough. You're thinking in terms of limitation. You're thinking in terms of fear, because when there's not enough, then you're in fear and you need to fight, you need to manipulate, you need to seek, to make sure you get enough resources. Or you need to become the victim and you need to say, okay, am I gonna get this job? Is this friend gonna treat me well? So when you're thinking in terms of lack, it's an extremely passive orientation. When we're in that orientation, we don't feel good. Our emotions are responding because our emotions are telling us that this perspective, whatever it is just not true, because lack cannot exist. We live in an infinite universe. There's no boundaries to this universe. So the nature of the universe, the nature of our being is infinite. It's abundance, it's love, it's all of these things. When we shift our perspective to the perspective of abundance, then we begin to recognize that we are creators, that we can create. There's an infinite number of possibilities. There's an infinite amount of resources that we can create from. And we start expressing, we start playing, we start expanding. We start feeling this love, which is our natural state. And we also start overflowing with that love. And we start giving, and we start serving. And therefore, we receive. We receive. When we're in the space of lack, we think there's not enough. And so our experience is always going to be one of striving. I have not enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I need to get. I need to get. And it's a very fearful place to be because it's confining. And that is not our nature. So when we are in step 3 and we're working on awareness, we want to identify, okay, what is this lack belief that I'm holding right now that's creating this pain? Is it a belief that I'm never going to be able to succeed, for example? Is it a belief that I have wasted time? Again, this lack. Is it a belief that he doesn't love me anymore? There's not enough love. What is this belief in lack? So we have to do this inquiry. We have to do this exploration work. And again, this stage, this step may take some time. But the more you do it, the more you start to identify what are your core lack beliefs, what are your core limiting beliefs, and you start to get very familiar with it. When you start getting familiar with these beliefs, they're not scary anymore because you recognize they're just beliefs that you picked up along the way, and you're in the process of letting it go. Step 4 is changing our beliefs. So first, you're questioning those beliefs. So once you have identified those lack beliefs, you have to actually be willing to question it. So if you are the kind of person that's very, very stubborn, well, it's going to be very hard to let go of the pain. Because if you have become so loyal to these limiting and painful beliefs, and you're not willing to question that maybe it's not true, then you're going to stay static. You're going to stay still. The only way that you can change, that you can move out of this pain, is if you can begin to question this thought, this belief. And again, this can take some time. So one affirmation that I love to use, that I really think is so powerful, is I am willing to change. So you don't even have to focus in yet on what exactly is going to change. You're just working on opening up your being to being willing to change. So one of the biggest obstacles to changing our beliefs is we're afraid of losing our identity. So our identity, our ego identity, is formed by, it's like a collection of different beliefs. When we are about to let go of a belief, or we're even starting to question a belief, a lot of fear can come up because we've identified so strongly that we don't know, who am I going to be if I let go of this idea that, for example, the world is not safe? Or if I let go of the idea that people are always trying to hurt me? Or if I let go of the idea that I'm stupid? Or if I let go of the idea that, well, you get the idea. So we're afraid of losing our identity. It's very scary. We've built up this belief system so strong for how many years? 30-something years. And now we're about to question, we're about to shake up this mentality. We're about to shake up this perspective, and our identity is at risk now. So what happens again is the fear will come up, the fear of losing ourselves. It's almost like a fear of dying. I use this metaphor a lot, that you have to be willing to die. You have to be willing to let a part of yourself die, and that can be a scary experience. But when we begin to question our beliefs, we start to open the door for change. We start to open the door that maybe there is another way of looking at this. Maybe there's another way of looking at myself. Maybe there's another way of looking at people that actually is much more in alignment with myself. When we take on this new belief, we change, we become different. That's growth, that's transformation, that's evolution. So actually what you can see is that the pain is in service of our evolution. The pain is telling us, hey, it's time to change. It's time to look at something. It's time to become aware of a part of yourself that does not serve you. Maybe it did before. So another obstacle to changing beliefs is that we're afraid of losing the gift that that belief gave us. So when we were in this particular mindset and experiencing this kind of pain, maybe we received a ton of sympathy. Maybe we bonded really closely with certain people because we bonded over our similar beliefs and our shared pain. And maybe if we are not this person anymore, we're going to lose those friends. We're going to lose a certain kind of sympathy and love. And so the question is, are you willing to? What is the price you're willing to pay to stay in pain, or to change and to move towards this evolution, to move towards this more expanded version of yourself? Is it really worth the sympathy? Is it really worth being a daddy's girl and connecting and bonding over this certain mentality? Are you willing to let go of that? That's a really big question that you have to ask yourself. And that's why change and transformation is not like that. It's not always so quick, but it can be. The more awareness you have, the quicker you'll change. So I think that's about it, actually. Well, one thing I also want to talk about is that when you recognize that your beliefs, your thoughts, are the true source of your pain, again, you have to give up blaming. You can't blame anyone anymore. You're taking responsibility. But what you also start to experience is how powerful you are. How much power you have. In fact, the power, you've had it all along. You have created all of this. And again, sometimes we can get a little scared of that power. Or we might feel regret for having held so long to this belief that kept us in so much pain. And that's where forgiveness comes in. We have to be willing to forgive ourselves. We have to be willing to say that I was doing the best I could with what I knew at the time. And if I knew better, I would have done better. But I didn't. And so we forgive ourselves and we move forward. So that's all I have to say. So to recap the 4 steps of processing pain. Well, first is to recognize that emotional pain is just a low frequency pattern moving through our body. It is caused by, and it's a response to, thought. Thought is also energy, and it's energy that we that we create. Okay, there's an infinite amount of energy. We're made of energy. So what we're doing with our mind is we're taking thoughts, we're taking perspectives, and we are holding them in our mind, and we're using that to create. So when we are filled with joy, when we are filled with a sense of empowerment, when we're filled with all of this, we act. Our actions take on the frequency of the emotions, and that's how we act. And then based on how we act, that's what we see in our life. That's the results that we're creating. So emotions are just telling us, they're guiding us to point to what is the nature of the thought that I'm thinking right now. Is this a thought that's serving me, or is it not? And that's all the pain is. The pain is, hi Shira. The pain is just saying you're in alignment or you're out of alignment. So again, we can start to see pain as a gift, a huge gift, a gift that's meant to support our evolution. So again, step one is creating this sense of safety for us to experience pain, letting ourselves know that it's totally okay and it's safe to feel this pain. It's just energy moving through my body, and it's not going to hurt me, and my life is not at risk. Again, I talked about trauma, and I talked about there may have been times in our life where actually we were in danger for feeling this pain, or in our ancestry, a lot of times during war when you had to flee. People could not stay and process their pain because it would have literally killed them, okay? And some of us still carry this inside of our body. So we have to be aware of this, and we have to begin to create this atmosphere, this foundation of safety, letting ourselves know it's okay. Once we feel safe, we can move on to step two, which is becoming present with our pain, which is actually feeling it, actually getting very, very intimate with this pain. What color is it? How does it move? Where do I feel it in my body? What is this pain saying to me? Then step three is awareness. Awareness of the true source of the pain, which is not the outside, which is not your boss, which is not that asshole on the street. It's inside. It's coming from a thought that we're holding in response to all the stimulus, all the circumstances that we're faced with. So the awareness is what's going on inside. What am I thinking or believing in this moment that's causing my emotional body to react this way? What is the perspective of lack that I'm holding, that my higher self, my being, is saying, no, this is not working for you. This is not true for you. This is not serving you. This is a process of inquiry. Then step four is the change. And you have to ask yourself, am I willing to change? Am I actually willing to change? Or am I too afraid of losing certain things if I change this belief? Am I afraid of losing friendships? Am I afraid of losing bonding with my family? Am I afraid of losing this victim mentality that lets me stay static, that lets me not act in the world, because that feels so much better to stay in a little cocoon? Am I afraid to lose that? Because when you start taking on beliefs that are actually serving you, you're going to have so much more energy. That means you're going to have to go out into the world, and you're going to have a lot of experiences. And many of us, when we've been in a cocoon for a long time, are actually afraid of the experiences because it's unknown, it's new. So am I willing to experience the unknown? Do I have the courage to do that? Yes, you do. You do. Yes. So step four is the change. Are you willing to question your beliefs, and are you willing to change your beliefs? If you're willing to change your beliefs, then that's how we evolve. That's how we grow. We grow through the pain. So thank you for joining me today. If you have questions, you can let me know now. If you're watching this later, you can also write comments and questions and send them to me. As far as what I'm offering right now, most of my work is shifting to online. So I have several different sessions that I offer. One of the ones I feel is most relevant for today's class on processing pain is my inner child awakening session. This is where we actually go into those childhood experiences and we actually allow that child to feel, letting the child know it's okay. And then we look at what is it that we really need. And this is one of the most powerful ways I know to shift these beliefs. So sometimes it's hard to just use this rational mind and say, okay, this belief hurts, let me change it. Sometimes we need to go into this process, this heart process, this emotional process, and heal something that way. And then the space opens up. So actually the inner child work is working mostly on step one, because it's necessary before you can move on to the other steps. So that's a session that I offer, that I would love to take any of you through. And then if you're in Tel Aviv, I'm offering 2 workshops coming up. One is next Thursday. It's I Am Guided. It's the second time I'm going to be running this. And this is about connecting to the wisdom of our non-physical self. So we're going to be connecting to our higher self. We're going to be connecting to our ancestors. We're going to be connecting to the earth, Gaia, and we're going to be connecting to angels. So that's on Thursday at 7:30. So if you're interested, just send me a message. And also if you're in Tel Aviv, on Saturday, June 24th, I'm going to be doing a 4-hour workshop on healing the mother-daughter relationship. And that's going to be ancestral work. That's going to be work using family constellations and healing the field of energy in our family. Doing a lot of work